and it gives us a tool to go in there and prosecute these guys.
Well, and you know, it's more example here of the fact that these people claim they care so much about women and these young girls.
Right.
They are lying through their teeth.
They want to have an informed
I don't care what
choice.
anybody tells me. If anyone who tells me that the typical 12, 13-year-old girl who's pregnant and thinking about having an abortion is better off if her parents don't know about it is a bald-faced liar.
No, the people that are forcing this abortion agenda not only say that their parents shouldn't know, they're saying that she shouldn't see a sonogram picture of her baby.
Right.
She shouldn't know what sort of drugs go into her body. She shouldn't be informed of what type of procedure is going to be informed. She shouldn't be informed of the fetal development of that baby.
Right.
She shouldn't be informed of anything except for how much money she needs to pay.
Or the consequences for her down the road.
And we could go on and on about that.
Right.
Because the abortion industry has one thing to sell, and it's a dead baby.
It's get her in the stirrups. That's the goal.
And they don't mind exploiting women. They want to even exploit young girls. And that's what people got to realize. These people are exploiters to the nth degree.
Right. Well, we had the story earlier about in Arkansas, 14-year-old girl being prostituted.
Right.
To a series of men. She gets pregnant, takes her to the abortion clinic. They just abort her and send her on her way. She's back in the prostitution business.
So it's Planned Parenthood that treats women like a slab of meat.
Right, exactly. Now, I want to, talking about these, I was going to bring up this issue that you just brought up, that when you put any kind of barrier between a woman and an abortion, you dramatically lower the incidence of abortion, which in a book I wrote called Access, we found government studies that had shown that.
Yes.
And that there's a reverse correlation between supply and demand that normally is just the opposite in any other product, but it's the opposite with abortion. It's not a matter that supply responds to demand. In the case of abortion, even government studies show that demand responds to supply. The more supply you have, the bigger demand you have.
Right.
I was looking at the Guttmacher website the other day. Alan Guttmacher is the research arm for the most radically pro-abortion organization in the world, Planned Parenthood, does more abortions than anybody else in the world. And I come across something here that's really interesting. And it kind of relates to this issue in Illinois, because the pro-aborts know this too, obviously. And this is the abortion rate in the United States, which is right now, I think, overall for the whole United States is like 19.2 per 1,000 women.
Right.
Okay? This breaks it down by state. Now, something's weird. Something's wrong here. Number one state in the United States for abortions per 1,000 women. Who would y'all think it is?
California.
New York.
New York.
Okay.
That would have been my second
California's fifth.
Oh.
New York, 38.2 abortions per 1,000 women. All right? Now, if you drop down to the lowest state in abortions per 1,000 women, it's Wyoming. Now,
South Dakota.
well, and South Dakota is 47th out of 50. Wyoming is 50 out of 50. The abortion rate in Wyoming is 0.7, less than 1 per 1,000, whereas in New York it's 38.2. So at 0.7, you're talking about the abortion rate, and we're not talking about the total number of abortions, we're talking about per 1,000 women, is almost 50 times as high in New York as it is in Wyoming.
And tell us why. Do tell.
What do you think?
It's more readily available.
Part of it is the mentality, but the mentality of people in New York. I would argue the immorality would be an issue here.
Right.
The top 5 states are New York, New Jersey, Maryland, Delaware, and California.
Okay, where does Texas fall in there?
Texas is 18. The Texas rate is 8. We're in the 18th, but it's less than half what it is in New York. Unfortunately, if you look at these states and you break it down by region, you see that the Midwest and even the far West and the South are where the abortion rates are the lowest.
Right.
But here's my question. If you were to go into any other demographic study and you looked at, say, the percentage of people who buy, whose favorite color is red, or who buy Chevrolet Suburbans, or whatever it might be, and you went to the highest state and the lowest state, it wouldn't be much of a gap.
Right, because human nature acts very similar across the board.
But here you've got from 1 to 50, there is a almost 50 times greater chance that you'll have an abortion if you're in New York than if you're in Wyoming, per 1,000 women.
We've been analyzing some of this data too, Mark, and what we found is there really is a difference. To use John Edwards' term, there are two Americas.
Right.
And the people that are voting in these blue states are the ones with the largest number of abortions.
Right.
And also to prove your point, after we kicked out the abortion industry in central Kansas, and there isn't an abortion clinic for 3 hours, 3.5 hours drive, the crisis pregnancy centers are overflowing with women that want to keep their babies.
Right.
Because they're not willing to drive 3.5 hours to get an abortion. They'd rather see their baby to term. And so to prove this point of supply and demand, women do not need abortions. Mm-hmm. It isn't a necessity, as Barack Obama likes to say. It's a flavor choice. Chocolate versus vanilla.
We've often said they're abortions of convenience, and they always rail at us saying, oh, it's nothing about convenience. These women would walk through hell on broken glass to get an abortion. Right. These stats prove that is an outright, bald-faced lie. Absolutely. And, I don't know if y'all picked up on this, and I wanted to, unfortunately, we're running out of time, so I don't have a lot of time with this. I think if you took a poll of American people, whether they supported abortion or not, they thought it ought to be legal or not. The vast majority of American people, the polls show, think that abortion is immoral.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And the abortion industry, I think, is seeing that attitude is growing, which we know, is causing a lowering of their abortion business.
Right. Even though we have an increasing population.
Right. Now, here's what I think is something that's going on that's very subtle, and maybe I'm just baying at the moon here. But all of a sudden now, you've got all these people coming out, even people with the United States government, saying that the cause of greenhouse gases and global warming and all this is the carbon footprint of human beings, and that overpopulation is the cause of this. And now people are calling in the United Nations saying that abortion and birth control must be pushed on all these other countries so that we can lower the carbon footprint. And you even have some of these people saying that it is immoral to bring these babies in. Children. I think that what they're trying to do here is reverse that moral argument, saying, oh, no. Abortion is the moral choice.
Right.
Your duty.
It's your duty to do this. And you're even having these people saying, we found a quote here from somebody in the United Nations saying that China's one-child policy is the only way to reverse the disastrous global birth rate currently, which is causing CO2 global warming.
It's working well over there without the
Make no mistake about it. I believe global warming is the biggest hoax ever to be forced upon America. It's on Discovery Channel. It's on the Animal Planet. Right. You can't turn on the nightly news without this. And they have an agenda. Right. In Copenhagen, they're gathering over there, and every leftist, Marxist, anti-American, pro-abortion person is trying to come up with an agenda to force you and me to capitulate to their form of government and their form of morality, which removes God from the equation 100%. Right. And if all these people agree, I'm sorry, you just have to say, I'm swimming upstream from this.
Well, now we're seeing...
I disagree with these idiots.
We're seeing a deal in England where, in most countries that have socialized medicine like England, have developed what's called QALY, QALY, I guess is how you pronounce it. It stands for Quality Adjusted Life Year.
Right.
What
this
that
is insane.
What this is a formula that they've come up with that will tell you what the financial value of a life is versus how much it contributes to the greenhouse effects and CO2s and all this, so that you can make a economic decision about whether you're going to provide health care to an ill child.
No, so here's how this works out. Okay, you're a 10-year-old child, healthy. You have, let's say, A1.
Right.
You're 60 years old, and you've been a smoker all your life, and you're diabetic, and they say, you know what, your QAL equation is like 0.1. Mm-hmm. And so they're going to fund the 10-year-old's flu symptoms over your asthma.
In England right now, and we're not talking about something that might happen in 100 years, we're talking about something that's happening right now. In England, and this is coming to the United States if we get this socialized medicine, that under this QALY phenomena system they have, a blind child is worth less than a child who can see.
Right.
A child who can't walk is worth less than a child who can walk. So even if you just limit it just to children,
right,
and don't compare a child to an adult,
yes,
they're coming up with actual financial value. They can tell you how much your kid is worth.
And this is in direct opposition to the last generation, our generation, that said the individual human's life is invaluable.
Intrinsically valuable.
But you can't place a numerical monetary value on a human being's life.
Johnny, I want to...
They didn't tell that to...
12 years, I taught at a school for the blind. And I can tell you, every one of those children not only had value, the musicians learned how to outplay me. There were scientists in that bunch. There was teachers in that bunch.